Good day, everyone, and welcome to Home at the Hollow, and welcome to my kitchen. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today's recipe I'm sharing with you is for a spice cake, a moist, delicious, decadent spice cake. So if you are looking for a recipe for the moistest cake you've ever had, or if you just want to come and hang out with me for a little while, then keep watching. So I am going to go through our ingredients list here as quickly as I can. So I have 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. I have 2 teaspoons, let's see, where are we? I have 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Of course, if you have salted butter, just leave the salt out of this if you don't mind. And in my spices, and of course this is a spice cake, so we have 1.5 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of ground ginger, 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and 1/2 teaspoon of ground cloves. So what I've done something a little bit different here. Since I do have my candied ginger here, I reduced my ginger to 1/2 teaspoon. And this is 1/4 cup. This isn't even 1/4 cup. This is very thinly sliced and very finely diced. So it will go all through the cake. If you don't have diced ginger, then no worries. Just put 1 teaspoon of ground ginger. I have 1 cup here of canola oil, vegetable oil, whatever it is that you have. 1 3/4 cup of packed dark brown sugar, light brown sugar, whatever you have is totally fine. 1 cup of unsweetened applesauce. 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And what I have here is, it's kind of vanilla extract, but what I did for a lot of the baking that I do, this is a spiced vanilla extract. But if you have just vanilla extract, that's totally cool too. I have 4 eggs at room temperature. And I will have, now I haven't prepared it yet simply because I didn't want my apples to turn brown. I am going to peel and grate up to 1 cup of fresh apple. And I don't think you guys can see, but I have an assortment of graters. This is the smallest little grater that I have, and I'm going to use this because I've worked with apples, of course, a lot, and I could, slice it up really thin, dice it up as thin as I can, but it still kind of appears throughout the cake. So I'm going to shred this apple and add it. Let's see, what have I forgotten? I don't think that I have forgotten anything. If you want, your cake to be, if you have just light brown sugar like I do, an option, once everything is mixed, you can add 1 tablespoon of unsulfured molasses. But again, that's entirely up to you guys and what you want to do. So I've added my leavening agents to my flour and just given it a little bit of a whisk. Make sure it's all good. I've put my oil in here and my brown sugar, and we're gonna just give it a little mix. And if you want to do this by hand, you guys are more than welcome to. I've got my eggs here. I'm going to just promptly add those. have my applesauce, sweetened or unsweetened. It's entirely up to you guys. Use whatever you have. I'm going to add my spiced extract, and I'm going to give it a good shake because I want to see a few vanilla beans in here. And it smells just wonderful, guys. Set this aside. I'm going to take my spices and add it to my flour. And, start to incorporate this a little bit at a time. You don't want to just dump it in there, but I think you guys can see. My apologies for the camera angle. I'm a little challenged today. Let's see if we can get it, a little bit better. And of course I made a huge mess here, but that's okay. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this off because you don't want to overmix this. I'm going to shred my apples up and I'll be right back. So I've kind of cleaned up my mess a little bit. I have 1 cup of shredded apple. I used Granny Smith, and it took actually probably 1 really large Granny Smith to make 1 cup of apple. But I've already scraped my bowl, and I'm going to add my apples. And give them just, just a little bit. I'm going to add my very finely diced ginger. And that should be just about it. It came together pretty quickly. Let's see if I can pull it out. I think you guys can see. This is going to make a moist, beautiful, beautiful spice cake. And of course, one of the most important things when you're baking a cake like this is to preheat your oven. Definitely preheat your oven. I'm going to set this aside, but you can see. I think that this is going to be just a beautiful, beautiful cake, guys. Oh, this is going to be delicious. The addition of the oil and the apples and the applesauce is going to keep this a moist cake. There's just, I just don't think there's a way that you guys can mess this cake up, okay? So what I have here are my 2 round cake pans. I'm going to make a round cake. And I've already greased and lined this particular one. But what I do is I just cut out parchment rounds. And I take my magic grease here and just give it a little bit of a go, and place your parchment in here. I strongly encourage you to start using parchment on, particularly a cake like this that's going to be very, very moist. It might be a little bit of a challenge to come out, but there you go. But I'm going to get this divided up, but I wanted to share something really quickly with you guys. You guys know I've been unpacking storage and things like that, and I came across my mom's old cake pans. And I think you can see, it's from Bake King, the king of bakeware. And you can see, oh my goodness, there's all kind of scratches and stuff in it. And I think probably a long time ago, they probably did oil, butter, grease, flour their pans. But to make sure, to make absolutely certain, they have this. And this is what I grew up with. This is what I knew to do to get your cake out of the pan is to use one of these and spin that around, and it's going to come out. It might have made a bunch of crumbs, but it's going to come out. But anyway, I just thought, I didn't know if any of you guys had seen any of those, or maybe your parents had some of that, but I've got my mom's. She never, that I'm aware of, made a cake from scratch. So, anyway, let's see. I think I probably have these divided up pretty evenly. I'm going to bake these at 350. Probably, I'm going to start checking them at 30 minutes. Of course, it depends on your oven and a lot of different things. I'm going to give them a good whack, and I'm going to bake these, and the house is going to smell wonderful, wonderful. Now, I'm going to drop a link below to my magic grease here. It certainly has saved me a lot of money. But let's get these in the oven and get started on our frosting. So I'm making a very simple cream cheese frosting for this. I've got a stick of butter. Mine is salted. If yours is unsalted, then add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt to this. Just a very, very simple frosting. You can also use the buttercream frosting that I have in my cookbook. It would be excellent, excellent for this. And I started to do that, and I said, no, I've basically got this ready, so I'm going to do it. So. And these are both as soft as they can possibly be without me actually adding any heat to them. And that's an 8 ounce of cream cheese, no low fat, no fat free cream cheese. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of my spiced vanilla extract, about a teaspoon. I mean, and 3 cups of confectioner's sugar. And so we are just about there, along with the big mess. But so when I am whipping up my cream cheese frosting, and I mean, I really give it a good go, because I'll have it turned right up for probably 2 to 3 minutes. So it will hopefully be a beautiful, beautiful thing. Well, let's just see how we've done here. I think it looks pretty darn good. And you just, you want to check to see if You know, is it going to spread like I want it to spread? If you need to add maybe a spoonful, and I'm talking about just a spoonful of half and half or something like that, then you can. But I'm thinking mine is looking pretty good. And see, it's, you know, it's just that quick. This probably took me maybe 6 minutes to make this up. So I hope you give it a try. Of course, if you know you buy the frosting in a can, there's no shame there. But I like to add a little bit of spice to it and you know, take it up to a different level. So these came out looking so pretty. And at 350, I took mine out at 35 minutes. That's when mine tested done. And so I turned actually this one over. Yikes, and I'm hoping. And there you go. And the parchment stayed in the pan. And there you go. Let's see how easy. I was afraid this was going to be a little bit too heavy, but it's holding together just perfectly. And let's see if this one will cooperate as well. We'll see. And of course, just like that, except this, there you go. Yeah, there's still quite a bit of heat coming off of these, but the one thing to be sure to do is to make these totally cool. If you have to set them in the fridge, and if you need it done sooner rather than later, but these have to completely be cold before we start icing. So I've chilled these as long as I could stand it. They probably should be chilled a little bit longer, but that's okay. I've got my frosting here that's been standing by. I did wind up adding about a teaspoon of half and half to that. So that's really nice. But I'm going to put just a wee bit of it right here. I honestly think this cake is so moist, and it's you know, it's a pretty healthy cake, so I don't think that there's much of a danger of it moving about, but you never know. You just never know. And I can tell you, I am not a cake decorator. I have my coarse chopped nuts here. I'm not sure if I'm going to use them or not, but hey. Let's see. And it definitely did move on me. I think the next thing that I want to get is one of those cake spinners. That would be a lot of fun. And I definitely need one with a brake. But a nice, thick cream cheese frosting. I don't like to go out too far, but I do like to build it up around the edges, kind of like that, just in case there's a little bit of, excuse me, extra heat in this other layer, then this hopefully won't go oozing just all everywhere. But they're pretty cool. They're doing okay. And I went ahead and I put this cake on my pedestal, my cake plate, because I was kind of, you know, concerned about transporting it over to the next. So, yeah. And there you go. My goodness. This is looking so good. Push that out a little bit. I think that might be enough. I think so. Take this other part and kaplunk. And there you go, guys. Give it a little bit of a push. And we will go from there. I'm not going to bore you guys watching me trying to get this And I think I probably will use the nuts. I think that'll be interesting. They toasted up just beautifully. And there you go. So guys, I've kind of got it as frosted as I could. I've kind of opted not to put the nuts on there. I can't explain why. I've gone to the trouble of toasting them, but you know, that's okay. I'm going to take this out. And let's see how this looks. Looks pretty darn good to me. It's really kind of a heavy cake, but I can tell you when I started frosting it, it sure felt pretty darn light. But we're going to cut into this in just a little while. And welcome back. Okay, guys, we are going to cut into this cake here. Let me move my coffee aside. And let's see. Sorry, guys. I let this set overnight in the fridge, just, you know, so it would get like set. And I've allowed it to sit out probably now for an hour at room temperature. So let's see. Oh goodness, this is going to be so good, guys. Oh wow. Let's see. I think I might have cut too small of a piece. I think I might have. Let's see. I think I probably did. I'm going to have to just tear this thing out of here. Oh no. Oh no. That's okay. It's going to get torn into today anyway. Let's see. Oh. I want you guys to have a good look. It's holding together very, very, very well. Let's see. I think you guys can see. But now I'm going to taste this and see how the ginger and the apple really have maybe or maybe not affected the texture. I'm going to take a bite. Two thumbs up. I'm so glad that I shredded the apple for this particular cake, and I'm really very glad that I added the extra little bit of ginger, the candied ginger to it. Now you guys don't have to do that. Don't go to the extra expense of buying candied ginger unless you can find a small container of it. But it seems that I have several recipes that I have shared and are going to share that do use candied ginger, and it makes a wonderful, wonderful chew. And of course, this is just a standard cream cheese icing. The buttercream that's in my cookbook certainly would be okay too. I started to do it and I said, no, I'm going to be very traditional. But oh y'all, oh, this is decadent. This is absolutely wonderful. I mean, it's moist and it has held up together perfectly. A big thumbs up for this one. Give it a try. You're gonna love it. And I want to thank you guys again for subscribing, giving me a thumbs up and a comment or two. But more importantly, thank you. And I hope you join me again here home at the Hollow. Goodbye, guys.